Hi. Recently, I made several videos on building SaaS applications and websites using the modern AI tools. And some people asked me to record a video on how you actually promote those apps, distribute them, make sure that they start making money, that they reach the right audience, and so on. So I decided to record a video on this topic, especially because I have experience in it, because I developed my own app, InfraNodus, that you see right now on your screen. It's a visual text analysis app that I made long before the AI boom. I started around 10 years ago, and I think I have quite good experience in developing something from zero. I've been also working as solo entrepreneur, so I did it on my own, and I think I just want to share some insights on how I did that myself, and maybe you will find that useful. So that's not one of those videos on how to make money fast with AI. It's just me sharing my own experience that I think will be interesting for the developers who are working on AI stuff right now. So first of all, a little bit of history, because I think it's important to put it into context. I didn't start InfraNodus as a business. It started as an interest in graph visualizations. In fact, I was doing visualizations of text as networks, and I was first making them look abstract because I really liked the structures that they create. So the first stuff that I made, they looked like that. And I just visualized different types of texts. I found it visually appealing and interesting, and I thought also there's something in it that you can discover about texts in general. Like, for instance, this is a visualization of Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace, and you see it has one structure. But for example, if you visualize Lolita by Nabokov, it's a completely different structure. And I noticed that poetry and fiction had this kind of dispersed structure of text, while something like Quran, for instance, in this case, was really interconnected. And this really fascinated me. I made a software tool to help myself do that, and that was in 2011. It was called Text Texture, and I put it online because I thought it was interesting. And then I thought, okay, maybe it would be cool to also make it reach other people. So at the same time, I created the blog, and this is maybe the first part of the strategy that I used. I just started writing about the stuff that I love doing, and that was the blog. At first, Nodus Labs, it still exists, and I still post articles there. And I wrote about the algorithm I was using, the different tools that inspired me, how all this worked. And of course, then through search engine optimization and Google, people started to find it. And once they arrived to the blog, they would see the link to Text Texture. It was at that time the first version of InfraNodus, and they would click and start using it. So this is how I got my first audience, just by writing and sharing about what I like doing. And I didn't think of it as business. You could use it for free, but it was also not very useful, to be honest. Like, you could visualize some texts. I also had some examples here, but you didn't have all the analytics tools that InfraNodus has right now. Then in 2014, I decided to kind of make it a little bit better. So I created the first version of InfraNodus. I don't know if I still have it available online, but I have here a version from Wayback Machine, just to show you how simple it looked. It just had like a landing page and then a sign-up account. And what you had to do at the time was to request an invite from me to be able to use it. And the way that it happened is that people just sent me an email saying that they want to use it, and then I would send them the code. And then I started to receive more and more codes because I was writing a lot of stuff on Nodus Labs, so I was getting more and more audience. And this is maybe the second part of the strategy. Like, once you get into it and you really start working on it deeply, you start writing a lot and people start finding it. Also, I have to say that, like, I was really inspired by this tool called Gephi, which is a French tool. And I was also working with Alexis Giacomi, who developed the visualization module for the first version, Text Texture, this one here. And so I kind of already had a reach into a community, but that was like a very niche community that liked those stuff. So I think they also found me through this, and that helped me get the first audience. They started writing to ask the code for using InfraNodus. And then once I started receiving too many emails, that was the second part. I thought, okay, so I have a lot of demand for this tool. I don't have enough time to write emails to everyone with the same code. So I just found a system online. At that time, it was GetDPD. It's called like that. It's for selling ebooks, actually. But you can also sell digital downloads. So I just created like a file, like a text file with the invitation code for InfraNodus. And I put a link to it on the registration page of the first version of InfraNodus here. So people, instead of writing me an email, they would just click and buy that code online for €5 and then be able to create an account and use InfraNodus. So that lasted until 2018. And in 2018, I decided to turn InfraNodus into a real business. So I thought, okay, I actually like the tool. I can use it myself, but it's hard for others to use it because it's very technical. So I started to develop the landing pages, the interface, and started also collaborating with other people to make it work better. So gradually it kind of grew into what it is right now through that. And in 2018, I thought, okay, that's not really convenient to kind of send everyone this invitation code. So perhaps I should add a subscription module. So I already had the audience through the blog at that point, not too many people, but enough to kind of justify the development of the software, right? So I could focus on it fully. And I thought, okay, if they like to use it, then maybe I should attach a subscription module. But at the time, I didn't think that Stripe was practical or easy to implement. And I also wanted people to be able to pay with PayPal. So instead of just connecting Stripe, I used something that's called ChargeBee. This is a test account that they have. So basically, it allows you to connect different payment processing systems like Stripe or PayPal, and then start charging people and then embed it easily into the sign-up form on your page. So I basically wanted something really easy to use, that I would connect Stripe and PayPal, be able to have people create accounts, and that's basically how the sign-in worked from that point there. Like you would just go to InfraNodus, go to the sign-up page. I think it still looked like that, very simple. But when you fill this out, like a pop-up came up with the ChargeBee payment system, and then you would choose, you know, which payment you want to use and how you want to pay for it. And that would also help me fight bots and spam, because if you put a registration form now and just allow anyone to actually do it, then it's going to be very difficult for them. So it's basically like, this is the journey. You start from something you like I had in this case, right? Some fascination with the technology or the tool. Then I started writing about it. I saw that people are interested. Once the interest reached a certain level, I attached this very simple payment form so that it also somehow validates to me that this idea is interesting for them. And then gradually I started selling subscriptions. But I missed out a very important part in this whole story. At some point, it was not just about me doing what's interesting for me. I also had to estimate what's interesting for others. So I started to research what they're searching for when they search for the stuff that I'm also interested in, so I can speak the language of the people who would be interested in my stuff, and also that I would identify what already exists on the topic and how I can contribute to this discourse in a meaningful way. And for me, a meaningful way means that I can somehow touch on the topics that already exist, but do it in a new way. So in fact, I started to use InfraNodus itself to help me study this. And I'll show you how I did that. Of course, back then it looked much more simple than that, but the main principle was the same. I would basically create a visualization. So for example, if at the beginning the tool was a text network analysis, so that was like a very niche thing. So I thought, okay, first I want to see what already exists on the subject there. So you can actually do this in InfraNodus if you type in text network analysis and you choose Google search results. And then it visualizes the top 40 search results and shows you what are the keywords that people use when they publish something about text network analysis, so you can understand what already exists on the subject. And InfraNodus removes the search terms, so you see the context around it. This is exactly what I needed. This is why I also developed it like this, because I wanted to understand the context around the search query, to see what I should be writing about and what language I should use on Nodus Labs in order to actually talk about the stuff that would attract the same kind of people who would be interested in my product, right? So then I saw, okay, let's say here they're talking about topical research and trends. So for example, for me it was surprising because I thought, okay, text network analysis, maybe people, they will be fascinated with the graphs like I am, but actually no, there was more interest in the technical stuff, like how you can study trends with it, how you can do topic modeling, topic research. So I identified all these words, and then I also started reading about it, researching it, and then started to write articles that would also contain those terms inside, right? So For instance, when I started publishing stuff on the blog that were about some things that related to my topic of interest, I always made sure to include the words that people use when they write about it or when they search for it. Okay, so that allowed me to kind of expand the reach and to come out from that niche that I was initially interested in and to start writing about stuff that are maybe a little bit more interesting for other people. So it kind of like expands the reach that you would normally have if you're interested in something really niche like I was. And then gradually, I also understood that, okay, you don't only have to study what people already find, you should also study what people search for. You know how when you go on Google and you start searching for something, it shows you what else people search for. So using an external tool, I implemented a system inside InfraNodus where you can also do that. So you can analyze what people actually search for when they search for something that you're interested in. And here it's in the informational demand related search queries. And when you do that, like you choose that you want to see what people who are in the US, for instance, use when they search for text analysis, when they search for it in English. And then you click visualize, and then it builds you a graph of the word combinations that people use around this context. So for example, I saw, okay, they're interested in the Python stuff. So it's quite a technical audience. So that maybe means that I have to start writing more about the technical stuff, which I thought that maybe were not, that I thought that people are not interested in, but in fact they were. And then, of course, I also saw that, okay, they're interested in free tools. So that's maybe something that I was not interested in because I knew that I wouldn't be able to actually develop it if I offered it for free. I didn't have the investor money. I was just bootstrapping. So I thought, okay, let's remove that and see what else exists out there. And I kind of developed these tools in InfraNodus to help myself also optimize my search engine strategy and to also understand better how I should write and which terms I should use to reach the people who would be interested in the stuff. So for example, here you see, I did a search for textual analysis, but they also show that in fact, people search for essays, examples of essays on the topic, right? So that also means that maybe students are interested in that. So I should probably make some content about how it can be useful for studying and stuff like that. So it kind of like really expands your reach and it makes you understand what people are interested in. And I think it's a beautiful process because you gradually get into some sort of interaction with your audience and that helps you develop the product with them because you're getting a direct feedback from them using the product, not only through analytical tools, but also through studying their interests, what's happening in their heads, in their minds, and in their bodies when they're using the product. And you start to kind of address all those topics and that also helps you develop your understanding of the world as well. So I think it's a great process. Like you put something out there, like a tool, and then you start analyzing how people use it, what else they're interested in, and that also makes your own world grow. And this is why I think when you put a product out there, it's not that you created something and then it's finished, you know, and people just start using it and that's it. It's only the beginning. In fact, the real work starts when they start interacting with your product and you're interacting with them, finding out how they use it, what is interesting for them, what works, what doesn't, what else they're thinking about, what they're using it for, and then it makes you develop your ideas and this product also further in a much more interesting way than if you were doing it on your own. So this is also the feedback I got. And then what I want to say is of course then with time, the channels of how I promote this tool also changed because if at the beginning search engine optimization and Nodus Labs blog was the main source of the audience, then gradually people started to search for the product directly. So then I created more pages on the main version of InfraNodus, which you can see here. So I created kind of like more content on the different use cases, on how it works, on the philosophy behind that I encourage you to read because I hope you'll find it interesting and maybe we can talk about it more or I can make more videos on this topic. Also put out some different use cases and tutorials on how to use it for certain applications and so on. So I kind of started to grow the portal as well. But also what I noticed is that actually recording videos on YouTube really helped. I tried doing Instagram. So I made an Instagram account, but that would not get so much traction, I think, because the attention span of the people there is very short. They usually watch videos for 3 seconds. But on YouTube, I found it worked really well because I could suddenly create some content about the way that you can use the tool, and then people actually watch it, they spend time on it, and they understand how it can be interesting and useful for them. And it's actually great because the engagement is much higher, and then the people who are interested, that they come to InfraNodus, they try it out, and then they start using it, and you can also talk to people on YouTube. So this is how I think I would develop the product now. I would really try to make some videos on YouTube, and if you don't feel comfortable to be in the video, you can also do faceless videos just demonstrating your product. And for instance, the tool that I like to use for recording is called Screen Studio, and you will see that it's actually like when I move my mouse, it's kind of like visualizing nicely where I'm zooming in, where I'm zooming out, and so on. And it has this camera recording also that you see at the same time. So it kind of really simplifies the process and also makes the video look better because it focuses on the different parts of the interface that you demonstrate. So this is kind of it in a nutshell, you know, like starting from an interest, then doing search engine optimization stuff, writing articles about it, putting it out there, interacting with users, observing how they use the product, trying to understand what's happening in their heads, then going into other mediums like video, realizing that this channel works and kind of making more content in this direction, and also engaging with the audience so that I understand a little bit better what they need. Like for instance, in this case, they wanted to know more about the kind of like the money-making aspects of how you promote the product, not only making it, but also promoting it and reaching the audience. So you kind of make the content that would be interesting for the people who use your product. I guess that's how it would work. And then another thing that I wanted to also say, that it doesn't have to be such a complicated process, right? So for example, I have this other project which I had in mind for a long time. It's called Dead Hand. So it's kind of like it's a crypto system that can store information that you want to hide. So for example, it could be useful for whistleblowers, or it could be something, let's say you want to record a secret message that you want to be released after your death. So this is what this tool would be for, and it would use a blockchain to record all this information to keep it secure. And then if you don't cancel the release, so you have to cancel the release every month, but if you don't do it, or you can also set up your own schedule, if you don't do it, then it would be released automatically. So it's kind of like a dead hand military system that sends a missile, but only if you don't cancel it. So you're not actively sending the missile, the informational missile. You're rather saying, okay, if I don't cancel it at a certain rate, let's say once a week or once a month or once a year, it's going to be sent out automatically. But of course, it's a very hard system to build. So I wouldn't go around building the whole thing directly. What I did first was just to create like a website where I describe how it works, the main ideas, and then I put a landing form with the email so that I can see if there are some people interested in this. And if I see that there is traction, so for example, people are starting to sign up and they're interested in how it works and so on, then maybe gradually I could then contact them and say like, okay, let's see how we can develop it further. Or if I'm already working on it, which I actually am, by the time I have the first product, for instance, I can contact them and tell them, okay, so we have something out there, it's not yet ready to use, but as you expressed your interest and you're on the waiting list, maybe you would like to try it out. So you can also develop things in this iterative way, but I think the main thing that you should do when you create something is to provide a way for people to express their interest and to somehow engage with you. So it can be as simple as this email form, can also be like a more complex form, can be this payment page, which I did on the first version of InfraNodus, where they have to buy like a coupon code so that they can create an account. But there should be some kind of like engagement. And then if you have statistical tools attached to the website, like for instance, if you use Google Analytics, or you can use something that's called PostHog, I think. That's like a very nice, cheap tool for analyzing user behavior. So that's also very important because you need to understand what obstacles people are running into. So that's why you would want to attach those analytical tools to be able to analyze your own interface better and see what they're actually interested in, what makes them stay longer, shorter, and so on. So this is kind of like the things that you need to do to attach all this statistical tools to your product, and then gradually discover how you can develop it further. So that's like a very easy way of doing it if you're on your own, for example. And then one last thing that I want to talk about is that, of course, like maybe you find it difficult to write content or to make videos. So another thing that you could do is to actually use Facebook ads or Google ads. And that's also pretty easy because in fact, what you can do is to start with a small budget and just select an audience that you find interesting and spend maybe 100 or a couple of €100 on just testing if it's interesting for the people that you think could be into your stuff. And that's the one thing that AI cannot do for you, because I said it's easy, like it's easy to set up an ad and to start running it, but in fact to register on Facebook and to get through all the verification and approvals and understand how you can also track conversions, that's very, very hard. So that's not something that an AI agent can do for you. And this is also what will separate you from the others who are working on AI stuff. Like if you can get this stuff done, then you will be able to reach the audience that others cannot, right? So this is also something that you could do. Like you could do socials like YouTube or Reddit or Twitter, but you could also do something like, let's say, putting an ad on Facebook or on Google Ads, going through the pain of registering an account there and so on, and then just testing some hypothesis there and seeing how it works. So I think that would be like another approach that you could use if you would like to get your product out there and to test out if it works. And if you ask yourself, like, should you be spending $200 on this or not? I think you can also think of it in these terms. If you spend at least like 20 hours developing something, then probably your time worth is already 200. So why not put another 200 to actually make it reach the eyes of the people and see if it's interesting for them or not, you know? So you're not spending too much if you actually compare it with the time that you need to spend on making it happen. And I think it works pretty well. So that would be kind of like my suggestion if you don't want to deal with organic traffic. Just put some ads out there, go through the pain of registering an account, read how it works. This is something that AI cannot do for you. You have to do it manually, but once you do it and you understand how that works and you invest time into it, you could actually put any product out there and make sure it reaches the eyes of the people who are interested in it. And you don't need a huge budget for it. You just need to get through this initial pain of registering an account, because both Google and Facebook have horrific interfaces for setting up accounts there. So that's something you should keep in mind, but you will have a reward in the end. So maybe this is a good thing about it. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I hope you find it useful. And if you have any questions or you would like me to elaborate a little bit more on these topics, let me know. And I hope that you also try InfraNodus out for the marketing research part and for idea validation. And soon I will be coming with more videos on the technical aspects of using the product and on using AI tools in general. Thank you.